welcome to Miami's podcast. Today's guest is Armando Cruz. He's the owner of Cruz Country Fitness and Physical Therapy. You're the co-creator of the Suffering to Unstoppable Pain Elimination System. You're a best-selling author of the book The Legacy Code: Modern Man's Guide to Escape Obscurity and Live a Life Unleashed, as well as the host of the Against the Herd podcast. Welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your business, Cruise Country Fitness and Physical Therapy. How'd this get started?
That's a great question. How did it get started? It's interesting when I was in school, I had a good friend of mine who we went to school since kindergarten together, and we went all the way through high school, and then we went to the same college, and probably I don't know, I guess maybe I did my undergrad and I was doing my master's at the time. And he calls me one day and he goes, "Hey, I started my own business." And I'm like, "What do you mean you started your own business?" He was like, "Yeah, I started my own real estate business. I'm doing some wholesaling and all that stuff." And I'm like, "But like in my mind, I had no idea. To me, it was like I was gonna go to school and I was gonna work for a company. That was my idea." So he tells me that. And I remember getting out like after the conversation, I was like, "Man, that's so awesome for him." Like it, we still meet once a week, him and I, and now another friend. For the past 15 years, we meet once a week and mastermind and support each other, whether it's in our businesses, in our family life, in our spiritual life, whatever the case is. But like we still have that connection, right? But I joke with him because we've been on different interviews, and I said, "Well, I got that call from Alex, and after he said that he started a business," I said, "Well, if Alex can do it, then I can do it." So he's like, "Yeah, it was easy. You just go on, you start your own LLC." And I was like, "All right, great." So I went in completely blind starting the business. I had no business plan. I had no nothing other than the fact that I had this idea that I wanted to serve people powerfully and get results. And so up to that time, I was finishing up physical therapy school, but my background in my undergrad, I ran college. I ran in college. I ran cross country and I ran longer distance and track. And I wasn't the best, so I needed every help that I could get to try to compete. You know what I'm saying? Like I was running Division 1, and what these guys are running nowadays, I don't think I'd get in now.
It's crazy.
But um, so I started studying exercise and sports performance, and that led to nutrition, and then that led to athletic training for the rehab side, and then that led to sports psychology. And at the end of that, what I realized was, okay, I'm not the only one. There are other people that want to optimize, not just athletes that want to optimize performance, but people that want to optimize their life. And I didn't see anything out there. I didn't like the traditional physical therapy model where you go in and the physical therapist sees anywhere between 5 and 10 people in an hour. And so you're like part of a mill and they just basically say, "Hey, go do that machine." And I always felt like that's not skilled physical therapy. And are we are they getting the actual best results? I didn't think so. And then I didn't like the traditional insurance model. Why? Because whether you like it or not, insurance will eventually affect the way you treat. Because if you don't get paid
Hmm.
for it, the
Hmm.
likelihood of you doing it decreases, even if it could benefit, because at the end of the day, you still have to maintain your business. So I didn't like that. And in my undergrad, I did a lot of personal training. And I did what I realized that I had a niche in rehab there because I had my background was in athletic training as well. So I got my license as an athletic trainer before, and I was helping people already get out of pain. And that was a thing that most trainers didn't want to deal with. They wanted everybody wants to deal with the athlete and top level person. And I was like, all right, give me all the people that are broken. I'll, you
Yeah.
know,
They had a
and
greater need.
they have a
They're
greater
hurting.
need. They have a greater need. So that's where it started from. I wanted to create something that it was able to help people on a very practical level. And I like the idea of everyone being honest. And what I mean by that is if you're paying me out of pocket and I'm not delivering, you're not going to keep paying me, right?
True.
And I like that, not because I'm going to be lazy or anything, but it keeps everyone honest. It's like, okay, great. Like I'm telling you I can help you. If I don't, not only will I no longer be your provider, you can fire me. And as of now, I'm the only physical therapist that offers 100% money back guarantee, right? Like if I
Wow.
don't get you the results. So it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I believe in what we're doing. My wife and I are going to celebrate 20 years this year married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I started the business like 1 year before. We weren't dating yet. We hadn't even met. We hadn't even met. Like it all happened fairly quick. Um, and I remember that that at the beginning we kind of butted heads because we worked together. And what was interesting is at the beginning because we were both trying to do everything. And what was fascinating was there was one day that we just like realized it's like, oh wait, I hate doing this. And she's like, oh yeah, but I like doing that. I'm like, then why am I doing it? Like, if you're better at it and you like it, why don't you do that? And then I'll do this part that I'm much better at and you like it. And so we realized that our roles were I'm the creator, she's the editor. Give me the blank canvas all day. Don't tell me
Yep.
anything. Let me put let me put paint to canvas.
Yep.
And then you tell me how to make it better, right? And once we had that realization, then we were able to extract, okay, well, if this is where you're strong, how do we put you with more reps there? Because it's going to be a stronger thing. Like, I have no desire to be running spreadsheets. Like, that's not my thing. She likes it, or at least she's better at it and she's okay with it. She likes the organization and be able to see everything. So for her, it's like, okay, great, we need this. For me, it's, you know,
Oh, yeah.
torture.
Daunting.
Torture.
I get it.
It's torture. So once we figured out our strength, this is where the systematization came out. I'm a very intuitive person. I'm a creative. I I very much am, I can sense where you are when you come in, and I will tailor what needs to be done based off of that. And she's like, yeah, but you still have a system in the way you do things. So let's talk about it. And remember, we literally took basically it was a week where she was like, all right, let's break it down. What's the first thing you do? And then I'm like, oh, but sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that. And she goes, okay, great. So she tells me, tell me everything that you do. And she's like, okay, wait, we need to order this. I know this is the way your mind works, but you still need to be able to tell the story and your clients need to be able to follow the story. So if that's the case and you do all these things, this should be number one. Then this should be number two. Then this should number three, because this is how you build the story, so to speak. And I was like, okay, I can live with that. And it was very eye-opening because initially I had feedback. I was like, oh, but it's going to be really restrictive, I got to be able to, and then it became actually quite freeing because it brought more clarity to the conversation. I could give them a precise, this is step one, step two, step three, step four, step five. And when you're in pain and everything that you've tried has failed, to have clarity.
Mm.
When somebody comes to see me, we do an assessment.
Yeah.
I ask them a whole bunch of questions. Then we run them through tests. And after I'm done with all those tests, I share my observations with them. I'm like, look, based off everything that we did, based off everything you said, this is the first thing that I noticed, second, and this is how it's affecting you. Somebody will
Love
come
it.
to me with back pain and will look literally head to toe. And I'm like, oh, okay, wait, but your big toe, understand that your feet are the only things touching the ground, but your big toe is not working right. Look at the way it's moving. And then that's affecting this up the kinetic chain, and then it's affecting this, and they're like, "Oh, I never put those things together."
Wow.
And once 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 we had this system, which became the suffering to unstoppable system, people started realizing they're like, oh, okay, this not only makes sense, but it's getting results. It's getting results. And then, we started getting more referrals, more word of mouth, and that's where we are today. Like we are a boutique physical therapy place. If you're gonna see somebody, you're gonna see me. So
Mhm.
this is the guy
Yeah.
you're gonna see, right? Um, and the people that come and see us very often, our ideal client is somebody who has seen other physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists, maybe even gotten shots or surgery or taken medicines, and they still have pain. They've tried all these things and nothing seems to work. And then they get referred to us. And the reason I say that those are our ideal clients is because now you have a point of reference of things that everybody else is doing that allows you to see the difference on how we talk about pain, how we
Mhm.
approach it, so that now it's not a enemy or a foe, but more of a, hey, how do I now improve my relationship with my body? How do I speak the same language? I don't know. Are you married by any
I
chance?
am. I am.
Okay. So, there was that book that, men are from Mars, or yeah, yeah,
Women are
women are from
from.
Venus, or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
something like that, right? And it's understanding that men and women don't communicate the same way.
No.
Right? They don't. And if you're married, you
They just.
understand that
Yeah. They
it
just
doesn't
don't.
always, we don't, right? So one of the analogies I like to give is that imagine if you're married, the importance of communication, except this is now you're in a marriage with your body and there's no divorce here. There's no
Yeah.
separation. So you have to learn to communicate. You have to learn to speak the language of your body. If you don't understand what the body needs, how are you going to give it what it needs? And most people end up thinking that it's an adversarial relationship as opposed to understanding that the only way your body can communicate is through stiffness, pain, tension. It can't speak words, but all those different types of joint aches and pains, muscle aches and pain, that's just your body speaking to you. And the question is, are you listening?
Are you listening? Man, I love that. I love where your heart's at, and I love your passion for this because I can tell there's just a calling there for you with the way you speak about this stuff. Now, you sound a lot like me. Like I'm super creative on the creative side of things. Without that discipline and structure of someone else coming in and saying, "Hey, now how do we organize that wild brain of yours?" Would you say is that the moment when your business started to streamline or started to grow? Is when you were
100,
ready to lay the, yeah.
100%. And actually, we did that 2 years before COVID,
Oh, fun.
and 2 years before COVID. And it was one of those blessings that at the time I didn't realize how impactful it was going to be, because when COVID came and everything closed, everything went virtual. And our system is not predicated on how much I put my hands on you. It's a system that we're talking to the nervous system at all times. And so because I already had the system, because like I can deliver that verbally or I can deliver that in person. We transitioned virtually and we were getting better results than in person, which sounds hyperbolic, but it wasn't. And after much assessment, like why would I get better results virtually than I would in person? And what we realized was whenever somebody puts their hands on you, it's a natural tendency, especially if you're in pain, to think, oh, this person is going to heal me or fix me, or they have something magical that they are going to do to me. And so what happens is that very often you abdicate responsibility to that person. Oh, they are going to do that. But when it was virtual, I never could put my hands on them. And so they always retained that autonomy. And as such, they became more effective at being consistent with all the stuff that they needed to do.
Hmm?
They became students of themselves more often. And I found that that was the biggest jump that they had. Now, since COVID, those 2 years, our business grew more. Like, in other words, in COVID, we had our two biggest years. Since COVID,
Wow.
we've grown more because we've realized, okay, well, if that's what caused the results, if that's what caused better results, how do we how do we reinforce the system that we've already created to maintain that level of autonomy, responsibility, and growth, that personal growth, as opposed to giving it to me or to a therapist in general? Does that?
That makes perfect sense. I love that. And that makes, yeah, because I've been through physical therapy where they do the bare minimum according to what your insurance is going to pay for. And you get that feeling that you're like, oh, well, you know, I'm only going to do this when I go see my physical therapist. So they get the credit for my growth. Therefore, when that session is done, when we're done seeing that person, we go back to the old way of life. There's no disciplinary takeaways. There's
Yeah,
no self-love that comes with that, where I can see doing that remotely and going through your process would then create that like, oh, I can do this. I can do this for
yeah.
myself whenever. That's awesome. That's awesome. So from the time you started, as you've gotten to this point now, what are some of the biggest, I guess, entrepreneurial takeaways that you've learned or taken from this journey? And do you
Oh,
share them with your friend that got you here? Do you the friend that started this that was like, hey man, I'm starting my own business? Do you guys, brainstorm? Give me some of the golden nuggets you give each other.
oh, okay. So th yeah, this is happens every week, right? Literally, sorry, yeah, every week. We actually no, the last this last year it's been every 2 weeks, but we've been doing it for since since we started business, right? Which at this point is over 20 years. And a few things big, I guess 30,000 foot view ones and then some more in the trenches ones. Number one, who you hang around with matters.
Amen.
There are days and weeks and years that things haven't gone well. And number one, the fact that I get to work with my wife and we work through those. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it flows okay. Um, but we've through business, it's helped us communicate better because it gives us a training ground that we can then take to our marriage, right? So
Hmm.
that's helpful. The fact that I've surrounded myself with other, in this case, other men that I trust, and we have these conversations. It's like, hey, what's working in your business? Hey, I'm struggling with this. What are your thoughts? Here's the context, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm seeking good counsel from men that I trust, who have similar values, who who are just as excited for my success as they are for theirs. Like whenever anyone in our group has a new client, has some kind of growth, whether it's in their marriage, with one of their kids, with anything. I mean, I genuinely jump for, like it makes me super, super happy
It's
for
amazing.
them. It doesn't matter if like things are not going great for me.
Yeah,
It makes me happy. And I feel the same about them. Like I know that they're there cheering me on. And whenever I get a sale, whenever I'm able to help somebody, whenever I have a transformative story and I get to share with them, they're there cheering me on just as hard as I would or my wife would be, you know? And
that's awesome.
I think that that makes such a difference because owning your own business is not easy. And if you don't have those people around you, it only makes it that much harder. And so I would say entrepreneurship is not a lone wolf sport if you want to do it at a higher level. It'll take you so far.
Yeah,
But if you want, what's the that it's that the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, right?
yep,
And
yep,
I
well said.
think, I guess obviously it was said way before
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
before I said it, right?
You've heard it here
Um,
first, folks. Yeah, yeah.
and then the other one is the power of the power of having a system that you can name and bring clarity to any situation is cannot be understated. As somebody who is a creative, the idea of a system is built in me where I think that that's prison. What I have found is that the greatest creativity comes through constraints,
Mm,
right? If you think about masterpieces, look at who was it? The one that was deaf, was it Mozart or Beethoven?
hmm
They were creating in a completely different way.
hmm
When you look at people actually, when you look at um, a good majority of the billionaires, a good majority of them have some kind of learning disability. And
hmm
what was once an Achilles heel became actually a superpower in the sense that their entire life they had to figure out a way to keep up with everybody else with this thing. So they had to learn different. They had to look at things different. They had to have a different perspective to arrive at the same point. And that same thinking that allowed them to do what everybody else does, but in a completely different way, opens and unlocks the doors of new ways of solving problems. And when you can solve problems, if you solve expensive problems, you can make more money, right?
Yes, yes.
So I would say those would be the biggest takeaways. Surround yourself with people who who want success for you as much or even more than you, and use the system to amplify your creativity and your success. If I had
Well
to
said.
isolate
Well
those.
said, man. Well said. For those listening, write that down. Go back, write that down. That's gold. That's gold. Thank you for that. Now, given that information, given the friends you have, given that your wife, who is kind of the yin to your yang, from what I understand, you guys work very well together. It's a beautiful thing that you've built. What's your vision for this over the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see you guys going with the business?
We've had this conversation and we've gone through iterations, right? So we're celebrating 20 years married. It'll be 21 years for the business. And I've gone through iterations where it's like, oh, I want to take this global and I want to do this. And I'm in a stage in my life. I have three kids. I'm 46 years old. I always say that I'm going to live to 120, so I'm not even midway
Yeah.
there. So I don't feel like I'm old or any by any stretch of the imagination. But the stage where my kids are and where I am in my marriage and where I am with the business, Simplicity is success for me. And so as of right now, and that could change in the future, I don't have any aspirations of, franchising or expanding. I want simplicity. I don't want to manage people. I
Right.
want to deliver the most powerful service to anybody that walks through my doors
I
or
love that.
virtually.
I love
And so
that.
what my vision is how do I deliver that? How do I continue to deliver that consistently and in a way that transforms people's lives? That's what I'm after. I don't I don't need to see, a million people. Uh, Whoever I get to see, I want to transform their life. I want them to be like, wow. Like you finish here, it's like, wow, my life is genuinely different. I'm not the same person that walked in.
So it sounds like it's well said because you can tell that in your heart it's more important to deliver great results to your customers more than it is to line your pockets with a big organization. You're at the end of the day, you're driven by results for the people that come and see you. That's what
Yeah.
drives you. It's what drives your business. Well said. So for those who are listening right now that you might be struggling, you might have a relative in South Florida. It's like, hey man, we've tried everything. We've done this, we've done that, we've done that. What is the last straw? Where's the last person to see? And they want to reach out to you. Where can they reach out to you guys at?
I think the best places go to our actual website. We still have
Okay.
one of those. Cruz, like my last name, CRUZ,
Mhm.
country.com. So cruzcountry.com. And there's like the hub for everything. You'll be able to, schedule if you've been having pain. And again, this goes whether you are in South Florida, obviously if you're there, it makes it easier, you can come in, but genuinely anywhere. You can do that and we can have a conversation and virtually we do the same. We have virtual programs that are kind of self-guided, but if you want the service, if you've been struggling, like you've tried everything, I don't want you to get to that point where you're hopeless. It's a very interesting balance of the people that I come and see, right? Because you can be the type of person you've seen everybody and you're like, nothing's gonna work. Get somebody out of that hole is hard. It's hard. We've done it, but it's hard. It's an uphill battle versus it's like if you're still curious and you like, hey, I need to do and find anything and anywhere to get better, then that's that sweet spot where you have context, but you still have motivation and desire to get better. If you've already gotten to that bottom part where you're like, that's it, I'm done, it's hard. I can help, but remember that this is not me. I'm not waving a magic wand.
Right,
That's why.
right.
Like it requires you to take the next steps consistently. And so my goal is always, how can I create an environment for you mentally or internally and externally so that the healing and the engagement happens consistently.
I love it. Awesome. Awesome. So for those of you who are listening, there's going to be an article about Cruise Crunchy here on our website. At the bottom of that, you can see the contact information here for Armando. Reach out to them. Thank you so much for being on our podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and your knowledge.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Brian.